These are the stories that keep me up at night. The missing, the murdered, the mysteries that have gone unsolved in our own backyards. I've covered crime in North Texas for more than 25 years, and now I'm opening up my reporter's notebook to you, revisiting cold cases and crimes that made headlines. In the summer of 2003, I was assigned to go to Waco to cover what was then a missing persons case, but we later learned, and very quickly, that it would be one of the darkest stories in college basketball history. It ended in murder, and it set off investigations into the Baylor men's basketball team. This all centered around Patrick Dennehy. He was 6'10". He played forward for the Baylor Bears. In June of that year, he disappeared. And as the search continued for him, there was a lot of anxiety and fear on the Baylor campus.
The case is still currently classified as a missing persons case, but because of the information being received in regards to Mr. Dennehy's disappearance, this case is being investigated as if he were a victim of a homicide.
There was a prime suspect almost immediately, and it turned out to be Carlton Dotson, Patrick's roommate, who left for Maryland right after Patrick disappeared. Carlton's cousin came forward and told police that the two roommates had had a fight. He told police that Patrick and Carlton went out to the country to shoot guns and had an argument. He then claimed that Patrick pointed a gun at him, and so he shot him in the head with a 9mm pistol. Carlton then told his cousin that on the way to Maryland, he disposed of the guns. Teammates were shocked about what happened.
I don't see that at all. I don't really see no anger in him, like, to do anything like that. He's like real cool. Like, he spoke to me and made sure he came and shook my hand every time he saw me.
Teammates told us that both men for weeks feared for their safety. Law enforcement ended up pursuing leads across state lines.
I don't know enough about it right now, but what I am doing is I'm contacting law enforcement authorities in 3 different states: Texas, Maryland, and Delaware.
On the court, Carlton Dotson was a good player, but it was Patrick Dennehy who was the rising star. Carlton ended up losing his scholarship while Dennehy had a full ride, and teammates said Carlton was spiraling into depression, something that he later admitted to police.
He told them that he thought he needed help, he needed counseling, he thought he was hearing voices.
So weeks went by, and then finally there was a break when Patrick's car was found more than 1,000 miles away in Virginia. Then Patrick's body was found in a gravel pit outside of Waco. The murder turned the spotlight and intense scrutiny on the Baylor basketball program. The coach resigned, and then the NCAA sanctioned the Baylor basketball team for breaking rules. 2 decades later, I sat down with one of the teammates who lived through it all. His name is Matt Saman, and he wrote a book called The Leftovers. He stayed to help rebuild the team, and then he took us through what happened. He says he got a text message when the news broke.
He said, you need to turn on the news, and they're saying that there's a player missing, a possible homicide, and that basketball players might be involved.
He knew both Patrick and Carlton, but he was actually friends with Carlton and knew him better. He called him Dottie.
So when all of that happened, it blew my mind that it was Dottie that was involved with it.
He says that the team at that time felt dejected and that they were paying the price for someone else's actions.
I never imagined even in that moment that it would continue, and then they would start digging more into our program, our coaches, and then everything kind of completely fell apart.
Matt says one of the most disturbing parts of this was the actions of the coach, Dave Bliss, who was caught on recordings trying to blame the victim for the murder.
So what we have to do is create the reasonable doubt.
Reading that my coach really did know a lot and was trying to frame everything on a dead player, that was a big hit to my trust.
Dotson was convicted and sentenced to 35 years, and this year he was released on parole.
I don't really have an opinion on whether he should be out or not. I do wish him the best now that he is, and I'm a believer, so I know that God can work in our lives.
The Baylor basketball team did rise like a phoenix from the ashes. They hired a new basketball coach, Scott Drew, who at the time only had 6 scholarship players and was banned from the postseason. It took years to rebuild, but in 2021, Drew led the Baylor basketball team to a national championship.
What you see today, his energy, his love, his joy, it's the same. The only way that you do that and you have that turnaround is for somebody like him to have that relentless joy and positivity every day through the hard times.
It's about how...
Another really bizarre twist to this story is that comedian Bill Cosby came to the Baylor campus. This was before his own legal troubles. He was there to try to lift the spirits of the people on campus.
What were you feeling when you watched all of this happening at Baylor?
I actually sat down with him for a one-on-one interview.
Want to raise the morale. Get that band out. Make them play the fight song. Not for the team, for the student body.
Cosby, whose own son was murdered, spoke about pushing through the pain.
I just knew that I had to go back to work. I had to deliver. And yes, you can still have the pain. It's still there.
Time has rebuilt Baylor's reputation. But for those who lived through it, the shadow of what happened that summer in Waco never really disappeared.